is electrohydraulic lithotripsy. So basically this technology is used to break up large stones that you can't otherwise sweep out of the duct. So in the past, hi Michelle, in the past, if a patient came in, they had a really large stone and they just couldn't get it out, or there were too many to get out at one time, or whatever it was, typically they'd have to cancel that case, send the patient out, wait, rent this console from the company. It would come in, get checked by Biomed, put on the card, reschedule the patient, they'd come in, then they do EHL on this patient. So Oli and Rastogi have been doing EHL for a long time. They just would only do it 5 or 6 times a year because they have to rent this if they ever needed it. Now this console is going to live here full time. We haven't determined the exact location yet, but this console will never be used without spyglass. So these consoles might as well live together in some capacity. The nice thing is spyglass, kind of the problems that we typically have are the image, like getting the image to talk to the boom and all that. EHL doesn't need an image. It just lives on its own. It's just a console, almost just like your ERV unit. You know, you plug something in, set the power, hit activate, and you're ready to go. So let's say we're in a case, we've been using spyglass, we have a tough stone, we have our image up on our screen just like we normally would. I'm going to shut off the light for now. And they want to get rid of it, the tough stone, and they say, okay, I'm ready, I want to use EHL. So basically, the EHL console, there's a foot pedal, and this piece is do not throw away. This is just like an extension cable, basically. This just makes it so that you can utilize the handpiece further away from the patient. So the only thing you have to do is grab the probe. The probe just comes in this box, in this package. It comes out at the tip of it. It almost looks like a bent paper clip. That's just for packaging. All you do is just pull that out just to allow the probe to come out of the hula hoop. Okay? This is a long probe and I'm really bad at managing wire, but here we go. So you'll see the tip of the probe is black, and I'm going to let it touch the floor. The back part of the catheter is like a clear plastic. It's kind of like on our biopsy forceps. When black meets clear plastic, it means that the probe is about to exit the tip of the spy scope. So it just gives you an idea, the doc or you get an idea of when you're pushing it. It's going to go in the biopsy port, just like your spy-light biopsy forceps, your snares, anything else. The nice thing about this is this catheter is really, really small. And so it goes in and out of spy very, very easily. You know, sometimes like at a tough angle, it's hard to get the biopsy forceps to come out the tip. This moves really well from spy. Okay, put in the wires. So they feed that down. You'll start to see right as we get to the clear plastic, the catheter comes out the tip of the spy scope. Okay? So now that's in. And what we're going to do, probably the number one most important thing for you guys is when you're using the EHL, you have to be using sodium chloride or saline. That's the best conductor for this device to work in. So if you had to, say it again? Yeah, connected onto the spyglass. So you know how we always connect our irrigation pump tubing to spyglass? Instead of saline, you're just going to want to have NaCl connected. So that's what you're going to be irrigating with. This probe is going to go to our connector piece. There's a white arrow on top of the device that's just going to plug right into the green, lined up with the green, and when you push it in, the green snaps over. So this is just like a spring-loaded.
Like the RFA one?
Yeah, just a spring-loaded little locking device. That connects. Then on your screen, you have a couple options. You have how many pulses, so how many times it's going to shoot each time you activate it, and then your power settings. My suggestion is you always start at 15 pulses and always start on high. So you have low, medium, or high. Once it's connected, once the doctor says, okay, I'm looking at the stone, I'm where I want to be, I'm ready to start using it, it's kind of just like safety settings on any other thing, you have to hit play. Once you hit play, it's active and ready to use. So this is a tip that Dr. Rastogi and Dr. Ollier know, but with this device, basically we're creating a bubble between the probe and the stone that we're trying to break up. When that bubble explodes, that's what cracks the stone. So this probe, you don't want it touching the stone. What most docs will do is they'll push the probe out, they'll touch the stone, and they'll back up about 1 millimeter and then activate it. So let's act like this almond is our stone.
Okay.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to push the probe out. See that? I'm going to push it out and touch the stone. And I'm going to back up a little bit and then we'll activate. If you notice, you lose, just for a second, you get kind of like a flicker. That's totally normal. It's just that energy transferring back through there.
Okay.
And then, just to give you like real life, you see the metal tip of the probe? That's what's creating the bubble.
Okay.
So we're going to get that close, touch it, back off, create a little bit of space, and then activate, 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 and we're just going to keep blasting. Now, clearly, an almond is different than a stone, but it gives you something to look at least while we're demoing this. You see here, and we used this same probe in the last session. This probe has been used 598 times. That's how many times it's been activated. At about 1500, the probe will die, and the console will say, hey, it's time to put in a new probe, and you just plug it, you unplug here, pull it out of the 5, put in a new one, re-plug it back in, and then you're right back to blasting away after you hit play again. Okay?
But that was the probe, right? It's one-time use.
This right here is
Yeah.
one-time use.
So when you say like 1,500 times, are you talking about that?
I'm talking about
Okay,
this
okay.
right here.
Oh, you're talking about that?
Yeah, the one-time use.
Okay.
It'll last about 1,500 activations, which, I mean, you're doing them 15 at a time, so to get to 1,500 can happen pretty quick if they're just
Okay. That's a lot.
This will last forever if you don't throw it away.
Okay.
This will only have, and the console lets you know,
That's
like,
disposable too. It's per patient.
this?
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
this.
yeah. This is disposable, this is,
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay.
good, I'm glad you asked that.
Yeah.
Great question, thank you. Foot pedal, also reusable. But each time you disconnect it and plug it back in, just the one big thing to remember is the green, hit the play button. You always have to hit the play button or else it's not activated. I think it was designed by like a 15-year-old boy because it's crazy fun to use. You have to hit play to like get started. It's not on
It's
or
nice
off.
and big
It's-
and easy to read.
Right, it's hit play. It's a touchscreen console. There's really no buttons to press anywhere on it. And I'm trying to think, was there anything else I went over last time I forgot this time?
The only thing I would say is make sure that before you press play, let it be out and seen shown because you'll ruin this probably.
Yeah, so
What, the tip of the cap or the
yeah, you
wire?
probably don't, I mean, I wouldn't make it a habit of activating this device inside the spyglass catheter,
Right.
You never really would. But just make sure you can see your probe come out the tip. And it's okay if it's right there. I mean, it can be really close to the tip of the spyglass catheter, but that's about what you want to see.
Okay.
So you're saying, sorry.
Yeah.
So you're saying that you don't touch the actual stone when you do it?
It's just not as effective.
Okay.
So if you're touching whatever, the bubble doesn't have as much space to create itself, so you get a smaller bubble, so it's less effective. So the further you are away, the bigger the bubble can get before it pops and cracks the stone. The other nice thing about this too is this has a great safety profile. Like if you took this probe and you just aimed it at the bile duct wall, you would have to sit there for a long time blasting away at the bile duct wall to cause any damage to the bile duct.
Okay.
It's nice and safe, but it's very effective at breaking up stones. And then after this, the other thing too you have access to is you can grab this 5 basket that you have, the other device, and you can use that, open the basket at the top of the duct and drag out all the stone pieces that you got when you broke it up with the EHL. Am I going to, does that make sense?
Totally.
Perfect.
Okay.
Grant, what are those 2 other squares on the screen? Would we ever push those for any reason?
These two?
Next to the play button.
So next to the play button is pause. This is like a settings. I've never gone into the settings for this. And this is just power on and power off. So if the screen is off, you just touch it and it wakes it back up. It's truly a touch screen.
Is this a piece of equipment that we need to leave on all the time, like the spyglass? Remember, you're like, you want to turn it on first thing of the day, whether we're using it or not, because that'll help with the setup time.
That is an awesome question. That amount of time from Rachel saying, hey, what is that button, to now it's on.
Okay.
So I think if they say, hey, we want to use EHL, I think by the time you tap this and walk over and get your probe and come back, this will be up and running.
Okay.
It boots faster than Spy does.
Okay.
Awesome question.
If that white cord got thrown away for some reason, can you plug that black part directly into the console?
I don't think so.
No.
No.
Okay.
So my suggestion, Rachel, and it is just a suggestion, would be, this is the box that the probes come in. I'm assuming this is going to live somewhere back there. I would keep this stuff like in the bin wherever these are, because you're never going to need these without this, and you're never going to
Right.
need this without these. So I would try to keep these all together, just keep them out of the way, not getting thrown away on accident, that kind of stuff. That's just an idea though. So yeah, this is kind of what that's what your cart would look like now. And then it would just be a matter of, you'd already have Spy in, you'd already be using it, and then it would just be somebody saying, hey, I want to do EHL, and it's, you wake up the console, plug in the probe, and then you're blowing up stones and living the dream.
Blowing up stuff.
It's so fun. It's my favorite, it's my absolute favorite case to go to, for sure.